The story begins as we see a band of red ogres attacking a town. The people cower in fear, and as the monsters approach, a dragon can be seen flying overhead. A man on the dragon's back chants, and hundreds of paper talismans descend onto the ogres. A talisman stops in front of each ogre, and there is a devastating chain of explosions that destroys even a part of the town. One of the ogres survive, but it gets eaten by the dragon with a single bite. We learn that this is the world's strongest exorcist, who sought to be the greatest, but his search for power led the imperial court to fear him, and in the end, they betrayed him, even sending his favorite disciple to oppose him. In his final moments, he wishes he was more cunning, casting a secret reincarnation spell and swearing to do things better in his next life. We then meet a boy named Seika in the middle of a magic circle. His father performs a ritual to examine his power, but none of the elemental stones light up, meaning he has no magical power, and his brother Glai mocks him for being an embarrassment. We learn that he was reborn into a new world, where magic is completely different from his past spiritual arts. Despite not having any mana, he senses great spiritual energy from his body. We see Seika as he gathers some leaves. Paper is too expensive, so he creates shikigami from the leaves instead. The leaves transform, with some turning into mice, and the others into crows. His brother Glai suddenly approaches, asking what he is up to. His brother looks down at him, threatening to hit him, but Seika's crows defend him. Their older brother, Luft, rushes over and chases off the crows. Noticing that Seika is unarmed, he is a little suspicious, but takes Glai to get treated. We see that Seika is learning about his new world on his own. He is the son of a mistress, which gives him lower status, so he is generally ignored at home. We see him working hard, as he makes his own paper, and is finally able to make his paper talisman. He gets a knock at the door, and we meet a young maid named Aoife, who returns his coat, which his brother had thrown out. Glai saunters in to taunt them, telling Aoife to get back to work, and bragging that he'll be going to the Imperial Magic Academy. As he is bragging, their father shows up, saying they need to get back to their training. Before they leave, Seika asks to join them. We see Luft as he casts his spell, creating a wind blade, and blasting through a large stone. Glai also shows off his magic, shooting a fireball at the target. Glai is proud of himself, and dares Seika to give it a try, believing that Seika has no power. Seika reluctantly takes the wand. On one hand, he doesn't want to reveal his power too soon, but on the other hand, he decides that a show of force might deter his brother from continuing to harass him. Using his spiritual arts, he fires a blue fireball, which completely destroys the target. The family is stunned at his power, and the fact he cast his spell without an incantation. Glai tries to take credit, saying it was his leftover power in the wand, but their father acknowledges Seika's abilities for the first time. Seika asks if he can also study magic, but his father refuses, saying it would be pointless, because there has never been a person born without magic that has become successful. However, he does give Seika a tutor, which gives him access to books, and Seika spends all his time trying to learn more about magic, even spying on his brother's lessons to keep up. As the years pass, Seika finally finishes his talisman. We learn that in his past, he would defeat demons and capture them, sealing them in another dimension to call upon later. He believes that even in this world, he would be able to summon his servants. As a test, he attempts to call on his most well-behaved demon. A door appears, and a young girl emerges. Seika doesn't quite recognize her, but the girl jumps on him, overjoyed to be reunited with him. The girl is introduced as Yuki, and she suggests that her appearance is different because his spiritual energy is lower than in the past. Seika is glad this was a success, and Yuki wonders how she can help him. Seika tells her it was just a test, and that she can't be seen by anyone else. Yuki transforms into a tiny wolf, saying she is sick of the other dimension and insists on staying with him. The next day, we see Glai as he yells at Aoife for spilling water on him. But his tone changes, and he suggests that she can find a way to make it up to him. Seika comes to her rescue, saying he has business with Aoife. His brother gets annoyed with him, trying to punch him, but Seika easily stops him, and his brother storms away. Aoife thanks him and ends up leading him outside, showing him an injured bunny. She wonders if they could save it, and Seika tells her to turn away so he can focus. He takes a hair from the creature, and using his talisman, he successfully heals it. Aoife praises his talents, and Seika can see that she is also special. Aoife gets nervous, but Seika can tell that she can see the spirits of animals. Hearing that he can also see the spirits, Aoife reveals she can actually see the elemental spirits. But she finds it strange that those spirits seem to actively avoid him. He asks Aoife if she can command these spirits, and she remembers one time when the wind spirits were taking her laundry, but she yelled at them and they seemed to go away. Having studied this ability in his past, Seika can see Aoife's potential and offers to teach her about magic. Aoife says she doesn't have the mana to use magic, but Seika tries to teach her by summoning a soul flame and telling her to banish it. She tries asking it nicely and has no luck, but she eventually loses her temper, insisting it disappear, and the flame vanishes. Although she is weak, Seika can see she will be a great ally in the future. They become friends, and secretly train together from time to time. They continue to train over the next year, throughout all the seasons. On Seika's 12th birthday, there is no celebration as usual, and his father isn't even around. He tries not to let it bother him, and surprisingly his brothers approach him with wooden swords. Glai, as usual, reminds him of his unworthiness and tells him his only option in life is to join the army. Luff clarifies and says that they want to help him learn how to fight with a sword. Suddenly, the mates warn them that a monster is headed toward the house and their father is away. Seika can sense that it's coming, as we see in the forest the head of a giant elder newt emerging. Dial runs off terrified, and Luff tells everyone to find safety, but Seika heads outside, and we see that the beast is locked onto Aoife. Seika rushes to help, but as the monster attacks, it gets repelled by a flame. Seika is impressed Aoife managed to command the flame, and he proceeds to lure the beast away from the house. It lunges at him, as everyone looks on in terror, but using his spiritual arts, he shoots a poison blast into its face. The beast falls, rendered completely disabled by the poison, and Seika prepares to tame it. Everyone is amazed at the feat, defeating the elder newt with a single attack, and they applaud his victory. He turns and waves, glad that his family finally seems to appreciate him, and he hopes that this will be the start of the life he had dreamed of. But that's where